Hello, I'm Mrs. Jansen, and today in our art, we'll be creating wheels in motion. First, let's start with vocabulary. Action lines are lines that show motion in a drawing. A comic strip is a series of cartoons in a newspaper that tells a funny story. So here we see the comic strip Peanuts, and the character Linus is riding on the back of his mom's bike. Notice all the action lines you see. Our next vocabulary word is concentric circles. These are circles that share the same center. And today we'll be using concentric circles as we create our wheels in motion. So cartoonist Charles Schulz is the influence for our art today, and he lived in Santa Rosa, California. He was the author and illustrator of the comic strip Peanuts. Many call it Charlie Brown. It was printed in the newspaper for 50 years, from 1950 to 2000. Snoopy was based on the dog that Charles had as a child. It was a pointer mix named Spike. Snoopy often reminds people of a beagle. So here's some interesting facts about Charles Schulz. His nickname was Sparky, and he loved ice hockey so much that he had an ice rink built next to his studio. He was an art teacher before he started his comic strip, and the original name was Little Folks before his editor renamed it to Peanuts. So here you see some photos of Charles Schulz. On the top, you see him with his dog, a beagle, and then you also see him skateboarding with the help of his children. Perhaps those two experiences influenced this drawing of Charlie Brown and Snoopy on a skateboard. So now it's time for us to get started on our art. Please have your pencil and paper ready. And today you're going to ask your family's permission to use two things from around the house. We need to trace two circles. A cup or a lid from a jar would work well for the first larger circle we'll trace. And then we're going to need to trace a smaller circle. So please ask your family if you can use a penny. You'll see my screen change so that we can draw together. So please place your paper landscape style, that's horizontal or across. And now place 4 fingers above the bottom of the paper and make a mark for yourself on the left. So now take your time. We're going to add a straight horizontal line all the way across the paper to the right side. And now a finger space away, we're going to add a second straight horizontal line all the way across the paper. So we've got in the foreground closest to us a space that's going to represent the street. And then this space in between those two horizontal lines we just drew is the sidewalk. Now we're ready to start our art. And the first thing you need is that cup or a lid from a jar. And we're going to trace just half of it. So it's not a complete circle, it's called a semicircle. So go ahead, place that on your paper so that after you trace, it's going to be touching the sidewalk. Make sure you press down on it firmly so it doesn't slide around as you trace it. All right, so after you've traced the circle, the next thing you need to do is draw a smaller one inside. And now you'll need your penny. You're going to place the penny so that it's halfway off the paper and halfway in, about in the center of that large circle. And now we're ready to add the spokes. And we're going to add them with straight and diagonal lines. So in art, you don't have to show the whole thing. And we're just showing part of the bicycle. We're drawing wheels in motion today. So the bike or the bicycle's already off the page. Now about 3 finger spaces away, we're going to start a scooter. So go ahead, you're going to need your penny. And you're going to need to trace that so that it looks like it's on the sidewalk. So make sure to press down firmly so it doesn't slide around as you trace the penny. All right, now about a finger space away, maybe a little less than a finger space away, you can make a small mark for yourself, a straight vertical line, and we're going to start at the bottom of that straight vertical line, and notice how it's less than a finger space up above the sidewalk. We're going to draw a straight horizontal line, and this is for the deck of the skateboard. And now at the top of that vertical line, add a second horizontal line. So this is a really narrow rectangle. And then we're going to connect those 2 horizontal lines with another vertical line on the right. All right, now we need to trace the penny again. And we're going to place that just above that horizontal line for the sidewalk. And it's less than a finger space away. Let's try to have it similar space from the front wheel to the rectangle to the back of the rectangle to the second wheel. Similar. And now we're going to trace that penny and make sure to press on it firmly so it doesn't slide around. All right, the next thing we're going to do is add a triangle, a sideways triangle from the end of that rectangle to about the middle or the center of the second wheel or the back wheel. And now we're going to draw a smaller circle inside this wheel. Let's add a small circle around the point of the triangle. And now we'll add what might remind you of the letter V that looks how we usually see it, a sideways V and an upside down V. They're really horizontal or diagonal and vertical lines, and then we'll color these in. We'll color in the V's. And now we can color in the wheel. Make sure not to color in or shade in with your pencil inside that sideways triangle. And now we can use our eraser and we can take away the line inside that triangle. All right, now we want to go above that back wheel with a curved line that might remind you of a rainbow. We're drawing the back break, and underneath, we're going to add a second curved line like a rainbow. And then you can connect them with a curved line. All right, now we're going to go inside the front wheel. And we're going to add a smaller circle. And now we're going to add a tiny circle on the inside. And then we're going to add a V. Now let's erase the lines inside that V. And now we're ready to draw the bar, where the pole looks more like a pole on the scooter. We're going to add 2 straight vertical lines. And they're about as long as your pointer finger. And then at the top, you can add a small oval. And then at the top of that oval, let's add a circle. So we're looking at the side of the scooter, and we're looking at the side of the handlebar and the grips. And now if you'd like to, it's a choice, you can add streamers off of the handlebar. Now let's go back to the bottom of the bar or the pole, and we're going to add a curve like a rainbow on the left and another one underneath it, a smaller one. And now we're going to use our finger, follow along, and we're going to place 2 curved lines smaller like a rainbow on the right side. Okay, now we're going to connect the long part of the scooter, the deck, with the front part of the scooter using a diagonal line. And then we'll add a second one. And you're going to see I decided to change the diagonal line that I drew, and I started it from the bottom instead of the top. All right, now we need to go back to the wheel, and we're going to add a circle around the point of that triangle. And now we're going to add upside down V and sideways V's on both sides of that small circle in the center. Now we can shade those V's in with our pencil. We'll use a heavier pressure. And now we're going to go back, and with lighter pressure, we're going to color in this outer circle that's on the inside of the penny circle that we traced. All right, so we've got our bicycle, our scooter, and now it's time to draw a skateboard. We're going to be about 2 finger spaces away, and we're going to add a diagonal line. And then about a little bit larger than 1 finger space away, but not quite 2, so about 1.5, we're going to add a second diagonal line. And now we're going to connect those with a curved line. And the opposite curve toward the bottom. So skateboards have wheels that are connected to the deck or the top of that skateboard with screws. So we're going to show 4 small circles for the front wheels and 4 small circles for the back wheels. And now we're going to go to that first diagonal line we drew, and really close by we're going to add another one. That shows the thickness of the skateboard. And then we're going to follow that curved line. We're only going to go a little bit less than halfway. And now we're going to go to the left side or the bottom of that diagonal line we just drew. And we're going to follow really closely the curved line at the bottom of that skateboard. Right now we're going to line the wheel up with those screws. So we're going to add a semicircle and really close by another one. And now we're going to do the same thing at the back of that skateboard. We're going to add a semicircle and then close by another one. So we're going to use our pencil and use heavier pressure to shade inside that wheel, heavier pressure, and then lighter on the outside, lighter pressure on the outside. Now we can show action lines. So let's think about those wheels in motion, how they're turning. We're going to add 2 or 3 curved lines around the wheels of the skateboard. And now we're going to add some lines above the skateboard. Let's think about the wheels of the scooter. 2 or 3 action lines around the back wheel. And then we're going to do some smaller action lines around the front wheel. And some larger ones. Now let's think about that bicycle wheel. We're going to add the largest action lines around this. 2 or 3. All right, so now we've drawn our wheels in motion, and you're going to see my screen change so that you can look at some idea starters. So now you get to use your own ideas as you add your choice of color and patterns to your vehicles. Your bicycle wheel, scooter, and skateboard can be in any colors and patterns that you would like. After you've added the color, now it's time for you to think about the outdoor scene that your vehicles are speeding past. And in this example, you'll see that grass has been added and a tree. Notice that the grass has been added with different pressures of crayon. You see small vertical lines for the grass, and then you see a lighter pressure underneath. When you look at the street, you're going to notice that the black crayon has been used with a lighter pressure, and it's been used horizontally or across your paper. So I hope you've enjoyed creating your Wheels in Motion art today. And we look forward to creating art with you again soon.